So I would just like to explain what is going on in here. This is the following year that I made the original growing roses from seed video. And this container contains different seeds from rose hips that I had manually pollinated over the year. Rose hips take several months to develop, and once they are ready, they either drop from the tree or you can pick them yourself when the hips are orange. But what I've done here is I actually found an old rose bush with some very old rotted hips on them, and I've taken them and put them in. I've mixed them in with the seeds that had already sat in the fridge for just a little over 3 months of this year. The reason I did that is because a lot of those old rotting hips that you find on rose bushes have actually already gone through their winter dormancy period, and it is safe to then try and germinate them without putting them in the fridge. Try this for a month, and then if none germinate, then stick them in the fridge for another 3 months. But as you can see over here, there is a seed about to open. Now, I've had several already open this week, but so this is a rose seed that has just opened. It's about to sprout out of there. And what I've actually done, so instead of, I don't have as many seeds as I did last year. So what I've done is I've just, after the 3-month period of having these in the fridge, I didn't have any that had sprouted in the fridge like I did last year either. So what I did was simply just keep the lid on like this, add a little moisture every now and then. If there's too much moisture, I will leave the lid half on, a bit like this, until it looks like this, until it's, you know, there's no drips of water. You don't want a waterlogged container of rose seeds. Just like this, where there's a little bit of dew, there's a little bit of moisture on the top, nothing much at all. Because then it's too wet. If it's too wet, you're, you know, most likely going to introduce rot. So anyway, so what I've done, as soon as I took that out of the fridge, I simply put this container up on my kitchen sink, and every couple of days I would check it to see if any had sprouted. And well, sure enough, there has been a lot of sprouting going on since I've taken it out of the fridge. I will do a follow-up video in the morning to show you some new seedlings that have sprouted and what I'm doing with them once they have sprouted. It usually involves some tweezers because the sprouts, the shoots are so fiddly, you don't want to damage them. They've only got the small little tiny cotyledons, the first leaves that have come out, and you don't want to break any of those. You want to really try and be gentle with this, and I'll explain more in the morning. It's kind of late now, but I just wanted to show you this is the process that I've done this year, and I've just simply had this in the fridge in vermiculite in this kind of medium, you know, moist consistency, dry kind of moist. That makes sense. If you find it drying out too much, just add a drop of water, swish it around, and then just put the lid back on it. But in the fridge, you don't need any moisture. I'm talking about once you get it out of the fridge after the 3-month period. So now all I'm doing is leaving this on my kitchen sink, and every couple of days I will check this, open it up, look for some sprouted seeds, then I will go and gently plant them out in a regular topsoil mix, but I'll show you that in the morning. So this is why we protect the rose seedlings when they're so small and vulnerable, because things like a frost will definitely knock them. So if you are keeping your seedlings, outside, then it is best to cover them up. And obviously I have a motley of things going on here, but let me show you. Sorry. This is our resident crow saying good morning. So here is a new one that I've recently put in the soil, and as you can see, the way you plant them is simply by putting the taproot, so that first little shoot that you get out. So basically that first little shoot, that root that comes out, what you're going to do, let's just grab a seed for experimental purposes. So once that first shoot comes out, what you want to do is not bury the seed, but basically wherever that shoot is, make a little hole, something like that, and put that root, when it's there, down, just like that, and leave that seed simply on top of the soil like that, with that root facing down into the soil. Just like that over here. You can see that's about to spread open, and it will reveal its cotyledons, which are the first leaves, the baby leaves, the first set of leaves before the real leaves come. So that is all you do, and you do water every day, just a light mist, nothing draining, nothing heavy, a light misting type of sprayer, something very gentle, because they're too vulnerable when they're so small. Now this is doing okay. There has been some moisture damage to this leaf here, but this one is okay. Some seedlings that will germinate well and be very strong, others won't. This is a little on the moist side, so I suspect it's had too much moisture. This is going to be an interesting experiment to see if this one actually pulls through. I will not water this today. I want to dry out the soil a little more, because roses really do not need so much moisture. This isn't a lot of moisture, and they certainly do not sit in moisture. So I would suggest you just covering them and leaving them to sit under the cover, or bury them a little bit, as I've done here. You can see just down there, and let them germinate. So this is going to be a gamble whether this survives or not. But this is part of the fun, part of the experimentation of growing your roses from seed. Not too much moisture, keeping the cover on them, especially when it's frosty like it is here. There's all these variables that come into account when you are germinating your own seeds, that will determine the success of whether it grows or not. A strong seedling, which has had just the same amount of water as the other one, and it seems to be a lot stronger. So, you know, you can kind of see on the offset whether or not they are a strong seedling or not. And these are my only ones these are the ones that have only germinated this year for me. So, you know, it's a little slow right now, but I'm hoping once the weather warms, I'm going to have a lot more rose seeds germinating. So I hope for demonstration purposes that you understand what to do with your rose seed once it's planted. Just leave it on top of the soil just like that. Water once a day. Don't have it sitting in water, and then just let nature do the rest. And that's it.